Awesome. Welcome,
Yay.
welcome, welcome everybody. All the Jaguars opening the conversation. I'm just going to take a second, if I may, to change these lights. I'm in a new location. That's nothing new, right? Every month we're traveling. I am traveling. So welcome, welcome everybody. Namaste. Welcome. Happy you're all here. Let's see. I would like to open sacred space today. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for being here. I'd like to open sacred space and take this hour to talk about what the medicine wheel is, definitely for the Incas, the Chakana, the Inca medicine wheel is, and what the medicine wheel is an idea that we'll find throughout different indigenous wisdom practices and indigenous lineages. But before we do so, and in respect to the lineages and respect to this ancient, beautiful indigenous wisdom, let's all center ourselves and be present and be, um, yeah, be fully here in a state of reverence and in a state of attention so you don't miss anything. So I invite you to close your eyes and bring your attention inward and just take a moment talking about the center of the medicine wheel. I invite you to bring yourself to the center of yourself, the center of your heart. And take a moment and notice where you're living. What is the conditions in there right now? What are the conditions in there right now? And without thinking about it too much, not worry, just notice. Just notice and feel, kind of like turning back to yourself and saying, "Hey, my beloved self, I'm here, beloved one. I'm here to check in with you. I'm here to see what's up with your heart." So just feel that attention, feel and know that you're receiving that attention. As you inhale, inviting your fully present mind, body, spirit in the moment, at the place you are, and in the space we're meeting together. I invite the winds of the south, the great serpent Amaru. Be here with us, Amaru. Wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us how to shed our skin and let go of the past. Teach us that we're connected. Remind us how we're connected with Mother Earth as you are always connected to her, belly to belly with her. Be here. Teach us what we need to let go of. Horpichai. The winds of the west, Otorongo, great Jaguar, be here with us. Allow us to start to think with no fear. Allow us to start to walk in life with no fear. Allow us to start to behave in life with no fear. Lend us your courage. Lend us your way of being with no fear in this world or the next. Horpichai. To the winds of the north, sweet hummingbird, Colimbri, be here with us. Bring us back sweetness, bring us back that nectar of life and connect us to the ancestor. Connect us to the ancestors of the Inca shamans, the Pacos we work with, the Q'ero nation people. Connect us with the shamans, the sages of yoga from ancient India, the shamans of the martial arts of China, the Taoists of northern China. Connect us to the sweetness and the path and the discipline that holds us fully. Horpichai. The winds of the east, beloved Condor, Condora, rise upward, spiral upward. Teach us how to rise above and see the greater picture of our life, and from there make better informed decisions. Perhaps today, allow us, Condor, take us on a ride so we could see the greater picture of the medicine wheel and understand this as a way of being. Thank you for always reminding us that we're always connected to the divine like you are, flying wing to wing with a great spirit. And Holy Mother, Pachamama, beloved Mother, Holy Ground, thank you for holding us here in space, in this space together. May we release any heavy energy, any hucha, through just the storytelling. May we expand and may we all grow in consciousness and in kindness. Thank you for holding us and thank you for offering us everything, everything that we are, everything that we breathe, everything that we see. You are our absolute mother. Intitaita, Mama Kila, Father Son, thank you for the light that you send so we can see clearly. Thank you for the flames you see so we can burn old contracts. And Mother, Grandmother Moon, thank you for your love. Thank you for your sweetness and your grandmother energy. And thank you for being a witness to our gathering today. Horpichai. And inhale, bring your hands to your heart and bow your chin to your heart. In this masterclass and our trainings, you are the guru. You are the guru. You are the one that's choosing how to train yourself. You're the one that's choosing the steps you take for your evolution. You're the one that's putting in the effort and the investment of time and being here. Bow to yourself and thank yourself for everything that you do for your healing and evolution. And before we start, I'd ask you to bow to any god or goddess, spirit, saint, avatar, paranimal that you wish to. And gently inhale and rise. Welcome once again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is such a pleasure to be here today. And continuation of my Dharma and my mission. My mission is to spread the word of the Karo Nation's people. The Pacos are the direct descendants of the Incas that lived for more than 500 or the last 500 years plus in the high Andes at 16 to 18,000 feet. I traveled to Peru in 2006 in search for finding a shaman in the process of healing myself from cancer. I had received a very grim image and diagnosis. I had just did my surgery at the National Institute of Health, and I knew that there was more that I needed to take care of to heal. And my search took me because of the fact that when I was a teenager, I just happened to read all of Carlos Castaneda's books. Does anyone know Carlos Castaneda that's here? I see some nodding. Cool. All right. So when I was diagnosed, there was a moment that I traveled up north to the Oracle of Delphi to ask the Oracle for advice. And the Oracle advised me to travel and to either heal or die knowing more. And the next morning after this visit to the Oracle and this meditation that I downloaded this as information that I had to travel. As I was sitting drinking my coffee at this hotel is in northern Greece, is right over this beautiful valley that leads to the cave of Hades, for ancient Greece, where they would take down the dead and they would put them on a boat, put the coins on the eyes and push the boat across to the underworld. And when I realized where I was, because I knew the place very well and the neighborhood, the area of northern Greece, I said, well, it's just like, I had just been diagnosed like not a month, and they had given me 3 months to live in 2003. So I'm like, well, I'm here. I might as well just walk down the damn valley, go into that cave, and I'll just swim over, get done with this. As I was drinking that coffee and having that thought, this one sentence came up in my brain from one of Carlos Castaneda's books, where Don Juan tells Carlos, when death knocks on your door, change your address. And it really hit me that I needed to travel. So I'll fast forward from there and say that I've traveled in several places. I've traveled down through Mexico. I traveled through the United States. I met with doctors. Anything that most of us do, if you're diagnosed with cancer, most usually people will start visiting different doctors. I expanded a little bit. I visited many countries and many doctors and many types of healers and miracle workers from all sorts of walk of life. And especially because I had it in me that all of the power that I've gotten from the books of Carlos Castaneda, I felt that that it was my calling. And actually, in a panic of considering and thinking that I probably would die, I felt a lot of regret because I knew that that was the path I should have taken to become a shaman, to become a healer. So back to 2006, I arrive in Peru, I arrive in the Sacred Valley, and one of the first shamans that I met was Don Francisco. Don Francisco is a renowned shaman throughout the world. He is an elder. He is renowned throughout, of course, the Sacred Valley in Peru, and deeply respected by all other shamans, a teacher of shamans and a leader in many ways. I asked him, and one of the first things I said to him is just like, Don Francisco, please help me, please heal me. I have cancer and I might be dying. And he looked down at me and he said to me, you know what? I can't. I said, please heal me. Can you heal me? He said, I can't heal you, but I can teach you how to become a shaman and you can heal yourself. I didn't know that that was his magic at that moment, that that phrase alone already totally shifted my direction, my whole dharma, my whole karma, everything, my destiny line absolutely changed at that moment. And of course, I said, of course, I want to learn, teach me. I became #1 student. I was like all ears, all eyes, just taking in the information. And he kept his word, I kept mine. I am still, till today, a student of his. And with thousands of other students that have studied with me this lineage. My promise to about 4th or 5th year being with Francisco, now we're into 15 years plus, is in this relationship, which is beyond sweet. Is beyond being a teacher. He is my father. He is my brother. He's a comrade in life. He's a person. He calls me compadrito. I don't know that compadre. I don't know the English word for it. But we walk together, and I didn't know. I didn't know how much I would mature. I didn't know how much I would grow. You can't realize when you're where you're at, you can't think and project yourself in another maturity level, another evolutionary level, and another level of life altogether. Because of course you're at your top right there, right now, right at the now. So a lot happened and a lot unfolded. But in the 4th year already, he said, you should start teaching. I said, I can't teach. How am I going to teach? I am white. I am really new at all this. He said, you need to teach. And you teach it in English. So I said, okay, I get it. So not only the language, but also especially to the mentality, to how can we really translate it from Quechua to English. It's not the language alone. It's the context. And that's what it's all about. Soon enough, one of the first things, I think right after that first moment of saying that you take on your responsibility to heal yourself, he said, you are lost and you need a compass. You need a map and a compass. And I mean, a map and a compass. And he said, here we go. And the here we go was the beginning. And by all means now, at the moment, I was just looking at it as the first of a lot of information. I was trying to just get down the words and Quechua and understand the ideas. The essence is that what he gave me was the medicine wheel. So I've been steeped into the medicine wheel for more than 16 years, not only as teaching and receiving teachings, but as a lifestyle, as my compass, as a way of being, as an understanding of the medicine wheel. The Chakana, the Incan Medicine Wheel, essentially is the whole of the cosmology of the Incas. When you look at the Chakana, and that's the whole training about the medicine wheel beginning on March, is diving into the Chakana and seeing every single direction and what's in between the directions, qualities, understanding the nature of life, understanding the mechanisms of life. How do the Incas view the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world? How do they view the mind, body, and spirit? So we see these trilogies that are repeating themselves around the medicine wheel. And of course, by all means, right in the center, right off the bat, the compass itself with the specific directions. So today I'll mention a little bit about my story and a little bit about the South, and just to touch upon this. And I also would like to open it to questions. Also, as I look at my screen, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 8 people that are have their screens on, and 11 people that have their names on. I invite you, if you're, thank you for all of you for being here, and thank you all for the ones you've opened your camera. If you'd like to, and if it doesn't feel intimidating, if you're not in the shower, if it's not inappropriate, enter with your camera. You will learn more. I can promise you that. Then we're looking at each other. I'm not looking at a screen. And by all means, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to. But if it's not, again, other than an obvious reason that's inappropriate, if it's inappropriate, please don't turn on your camera. But if you're okay, then please join us. Thank you. And this especially for coming to questions. And if there's questions you have, I can directly look at you and we can directly exchange. This is, for me, a very vulnerable place. I'm sharing my entire life, and I do want to see all the beautiful people and beautiful eyes that I'm sharing it with. So the essence of the medicine wheel and the essence of the Q'ero Nations people is about a map of the world, of life. It's about how, like Shakespeare said, how do we act in life? And you know, we're all in this big theater, and the setting changes. It's a different set here in Costa Rica. It's a different set in Greece, my home where I come from. It's a different set in the United States where I lived for 15 years. Every place is a different set, and it's almost like the roles that are given through the languages and the cultures are all different. And for anyone who's traveled and know what I'm talking about, that it could be very, very different from one. Yeah, very different realities. So each country you go to, along with its language, its ancient civilization, or not so ancient civilization, it's a civilization, it offers some parameters and ways of being. What's okay, what's not okay, what's acceptable, what's like applauded and what's booed, you know, and a way of being. And what should one strive for? What should one really work hard towards? Those things change from country to country, culture to culture. And mostly, I want to say, throughout the last few centuries, there's changes of how, especially with the technology and everything we have. But the Q'eros have this map that is beyond cultures, that is beyond time, and is beyond language. It's a map, the Chakana, the Incan Medicine Wheel, is a map of understanding the nature of being human. And here I find this extremely interesting. I'm devoting my life to it. I have this last 18 years I'm on it, and especially the last 16 working directly with the elders. I feel and I see really clearly that it is not a culture, it is a map of what it means to be human and live this life now. How do I function in this life? And it not only talks about the center, right, the center of the medicine wheel, which is the heart, it's you, so you're sitting in the center of one place, but it refers to what is happening around you. What are the dynamics? What are the dynamics around us, literally on the level of the directions, and also as qualities of understanding life itself. So the Incas give us something that none of us got. I don't know. I didn't get it. When I was born, no one said to me or to my mom, here, you gave birth to this person. Take this little book. It's called The Owner's Manual. And, you know, let your son, when he grows up or at some point start reading, it's like, I got a body and I got it my first language and my second language later on and a third language, but I didn't get an owner's manual. My mom told me how to be, my dad told me how to be, my school, my neighborhood, my culture, but no one really goes into depth. What is given to us by society, in any society, is what it means to be good and bad, especially when we're talking about the Western world. There seems to be this black and white situation happening. It's either heaven or hell. We have no in between. And it's given to us as social rules. It's not given to us as a way to move in life. And I think that's really, really important. It's just like, I was told how to behave. I wasn't shown how to navigate. No one told me, you know what, Ray, you're going to live a long life. You're going to have this in your childhood, in the teenage, the early 20s, the other teen years, that you're going to navigate in life. I was only given instructions of what, especially what not to do. And that on a scale of what not to do at school, then later at scale of what not to do when you're out, not to do by laws, etc., which are all good things, but mostly. But the essence is that no one gave me or gives us a way to navigate life, right? So, and we're all good. We all know what to not say and not to insult anyone or not be politically incorrect or this or that. And Facebook keeps on reminding us because it's like, why do you say that? We shouldn't say that. We shouldn't say that. We shouldn't. All the names, especially, we've become the most awesome linguists. Everyone's like, don't use that word. Use this word. Use that word. It's like, how about we love everyone in any word we use and everyone can be. But how about also we find that book, which is a book to navigate life. And this is what the medicine wheel is for me. This is what all the shamanic work is for me. This is what I teach through the 9-month training, the shaman's apprenticeship, the shaman's training. This is what we teach through those 12 weeks, 12 Thursdays, if I remember correctly. Beginning of March, 1 hour every week or 2 hours. It's all there. The essence of what we're teaching is, how do I navigate life? And in order to do that, what I really need to know, it was funny, I was just down at the marina looking at some boats, just talking boats. It's like, we need to know our vessel. We need to know how our vessel works, right? And if I know how my vessel works, I have a motorboat, do I have a sailboat? What kind of a boat am I? And let's say we're all sailboats. It's like when we start knowing, what does that mean? Is how do I know how the winds are blowing and how and put up my sails and what direction to set my rudder to? And all these parts are our emotions, our thought, our will, our perseverance, tools that we have, the sails, the rudder, all those tools that we have to navigate life. And the essence of shamanic work, and it is true if you've ever visited the JaguarPath, we're a school of yoga, shamanism, and martial arts, these three, amongst many others, several others, are schools that offer exactly that. They're offering us knowledge about what our vessel is about and what is this ocean around us and how do we navigate it from that, what's happening in the port in our family, to a little bit outside the port in the first relationships, to the open ocean once you are out in life and you're navigating, and perhaps you have a family on board now of your own. Right? I have a 19-year-old son today. He's an awesome shaman on his own right. So this is the essence of the medicine wheel. The essence of the medicine wheel across the board, wherever it's taught, even with the Northern American Indian medicine wheel, is like, what are those tools that you need to learn so to be able to navigate life, so you're able to have your own center at all times. And life, as we all know, brings things that push us off our center. Have you ever had anything that pushed you off your center? Wave your hand. Okay. Do we all have something pushing us off our center? Yeah, 2 hands. We all do. So as life pushes us off our center, we're either going to say, wow, I'm a victim, and what just happened to me, and it's almost like God is punishing me, or God forgot me, or wow, I'm a victim and I don't deserve this and it should have been different. So this person or that person or those people are bad people, and so I live in judgment and I live in victim. Or I begin to cultivate, and that's the truth, and that has been my truth. I lived between either good people or bad people, and every time something bad would happen, I would say these people are bad people. But the truth is, it's kind of like I don't really know that there's anyone that's a bad person. You know, the evil, like the evil, what do you call it, person that's up there doing it's like everyone is doing their best, and sometimes people hurt us, and maybe sometimes we've hurt someone accidentally, and then we become the evil. But that belongs only to a place where life is black and white, and life is not just black and white. Our system, our culture does definitely define things from good and bad. Yet when we start looking at shamanic work, even like the Taoists, I'm talking about the Tao, the shamans of China, and of course the shamans of Peru, but shamans of China with the yin yang, they say this black and white is constantly swirling. It's not just a fixed situation. It's the black is within the white is within the black. There's a lot of areas that those are married. Somewhere there's more black, less white, and vice versa. And when we train, either in martial arts or in yoga or in the shamanic work especially, because I say especially in the sense that with the shamanic work and the way we're approaching it is it's training of, it's an education. We're learning, we have the handouts, we talk about, we look at these shapes. It's an education for the intellect, right? Where martial arts and yoga, which I love and have been a part of my life for more than 20 years, and it's where it really counts, and I'll talk to that too, but those are help us change in our body. They rewire the vessel. They bring us into a steady endocrine system, right? They physically bring us into that place. But the medicine wheel, and to bring it up to also questions, the medicine wheel is about understanding how in each direction that we look, if I'm looking at the West, there is specific energies that are coming. In the South, there's specific energies. And what I mean about that, I'm talking about something very specific and very realistic. And this, I want to speak to this because it is important to me to say that what I'm sharing is, yes, on one hand, ancient and comes from the Incas, but the reason it's still here and it's still applicable is because it's archetypal and it works for all humans at all time. Again, beyond time and beyond cultures. And what I'm really talking about, this direction, is one of the things, just studying with them and looking into it deeper and deeper, is what we're talking about, the unified field. That Einstein talked about, there's different energies on the planet, and there's this big energy, this empty space between us from here to the States and from here, or even when you're sitting with someone in a room and you're like a foot away from them, that empty space is not empty. There is no such thing as emptiness. That is the plane on the planet that Einstein called the unified field. And he said it's a plane and it's an energy, I want to call it an energy container, an energy ocean, that is created by two big forces, gravity and the magnetic field of the planet. And the essence is that we live in this, and so the gravity and the magnetic field of the planet play off each other, push and pull each other, and they create what is called the unified field. And Einstein told us that when you look around the unified field, it is not the same anywhere. It has different qualities, different directions, different qualities, directions, different quality and directions. It's different. And when we look at the shamans, you see it is different. What's coming from the big mountains of the south, from the Andes, is pulling us in a specific, it's pulling the gravitational field of the planet a specific way. And when we look at Mount Coloriti, Apu Coloriti, this huge 18,000 footer, the snow-capped, the glacier, it affects us in a very, very specific way. And it creates what they say, the serpent energy. In the serpent energy in the south, is a direction of serpent is what offers us change. Serpent teaches us how to change our skin and let go of the past. I'll just say a couple things because I've noticed it and I've talked with a lot of people. And many times when I talk about the serpent, I feel a little bit of a hold. So I'm going to say, yes, in our culture, and I'll say ours, our culture, although there might be people from different countries, but the Western world, there is a fear about the serpent because it's mentioned in our mythology as something that's evil. In this mythology, it's not evil at all. It's another animal. It's a serpent. It's a snake. It gives us, it's another being of this planet that can teach us from its own experience and its own nature. And also, there is also a pullback from the serpent sometimes, which is understandable because as mammals that we are also, we know serpents are poisonous, so we kind of tend to move away. So here I invite you to let go of both the mythology or the danger of poisoning. We're all set to learn from something. And this is very, very, very important. I'll speak to it before I open it to questions. The serpent teaches us how to shed our skin and let go of the past. It actually tells us that, look, I'm brand new. I'm not that serpent that I was a month ago. I have a different look. And when you look at me, you're seeing a new serpent. And when I feel the world through this new skin, I feel a new world through this new skin. So the big secret, the big beautiful, rather, teaching that the serpent gives us is that we're able to change as hard as it is. We're able to let go of trauma as deep and as hard as that was. And as we use that, the serpent also teaches us how to be reconnected. It demands us, it asks us to return back to our feet so we're more grounded. It teaches us how to feel connected with Mother Earth, characteristically, as they say, as a serpent belly to belly with her. He feels, the serpent, Sachamama, feels Mother's Earth heartbeat in its own heartbeat, in its own belly. It feels Mother Earth's belly in its own belly. And it has one thing that it knows very well and very clear. It belongs to this earth. And this earth is the mother of all beings of this on it. This earth is the mother of all beings. Even I believe this. It's like, that was interesting. When I first arrived in Peru and I said, Pachamama. It's like, oh, they call the planet, they call it the earth, my mother rather. They call the planet my mother. And I thought it was an interesting concept. Looking back, I felt so naive because this is not a planet. This is not a planet. This is the mother that has given birth to everything from ants to birds to elephants to fish to humans. Has given birth to our mothers. Has given birth to our to all people that have passed. She has given us 5 elements. The elements that we've taken and the elements from the periodic table of a lot of carbon and silicon and everything, and we put together this. And when we go deeper into the work, the shamans say, she has given us the forests to make our bones. She has given us the rivers to make our veins. She has given us the trees to make our lungs. She has given us the ocean to make our emotions. The lakes to have nice belly. And she has given us the apus, the great holy mountains, so we have reverence, so we can connect with the divine. So she is truly a mother, and this, 16 years later from the first time I heard this, calling her Pachamama or mother, now feeling her and being, having received Sachamama, the serpent, and having changed. I shed many tears, I shed many traumas, I shed a couple tumors, I shed, and I shed not a couple tears, I've shed thousands of tears in that process of fear of dying, of losing my son, losing me when he was 2, of my leaving Greece, my home, my country, the place that I knew. And today, I am so happy and I am so grateful that I had to go through all this. Because today I stand in the know. Today I stand proudly saying, this is my mother. Here's my mother, Pachamama, Gaia. Here is the place that I was born to, the place in this awesome earth that nourishes me and that will welcome me home when I leave. And today, with this as part of my map and part of my reality, not necessarily, well, I am very proud of my Greek heritage, I'm very proud of my American heritage, I'm very proud to live in Central America. It's beautiful culture here in Costa Rica, and beautiful Pachamama. Here, Pachamama is thriving. The Blue Zone is thriving. It's the most biodiverse place on the planet right now, and the biggest part of why I am here. Living in the jungle amongst animals, and having animals be a daily thing that we see, we meet, or we see signs of, etc. Today I feel that I'm more realistic than ever. I thought I was pragmatic, I thought it was realistic, I thought I was intelligent. And yes, all those were, yes, but I didn't have the owner's manual. I was realistic or intelligent or in the know of what my culture said. I actually used to be a photographer in advertisement. So I was really okay and really good in that culture. And I was thriving, yet I still did not have an owner's manual. So my relationships were hard to work with. My heart was hard to settle. My mind didn't know where to find an anchor. And so what happens, and that's what Don Francisco said, he said, you're lost, you need a map, is when we don't have an anchor for the vessel, we're lost. And what we do is we take in, let's say, not to get too nautical here, I'll keep the sailing examples for the sailing school. What we do is we base our way and our manner and the way we live life on stereotypes. So as a photographer, I looked at what the other photographers were doing, and generally speaking, know this, that we all absorb. I kept on absorbing my culture through TV, through the movies, and through the news. So that was my anchor. My way of knowing reality was through the TV, through the movies, through the news. I guess later on, and more recently, through Facebook. And I know that no one can say, well, this is the place where you can actually source for all of reality. Yet a lot of people insist. It's like, oh, get a TV. You should watch the news. You should know what's happening. What's on the news is not what's happening, and this has nothing to do with real news or fake news, or what is it? It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing. TV has always been the same thing. It brings forth stories, and we use those as paradigms. To bring it home here is like we live on a paradigm, in a paradigm, through a paradigm, as stereotypes, because we don't have the archetypes in the modern Western world. We collect these stereotypes and live with the paradigm of the things we have seen and know. And this is all basically hearsay by modern people in the modern world, and cut off from ancient lineages, especially as of the Dark Ages and after. The Dark Ages came across to say, stop. In the Dark Ages through Europe, there's three things that were persecuted: women, animals, and magic. And they all belong in the same realm, and the greater realm. Now, I'm going to fast forward and just to say, take a note of that. This is the main goal of the Spanish Inquisition, the main goal of the church, the main goal of the kings and queens that ruled along with the church at the time, went after women, animals, and magic, because those were huge threats, as they were more and are more connected with reality, connected with what you need to know if you want to know the owner's manual, if you want to be connected archetypally, if you want to use archetypes to live your life, not stereotypes. It's like I can act like Superman until, what's her name, Lewis would come along and lose it all. I can act like Superman until that one flaw would come along. The idea is like, how can I really reinforce myself and create more than that, create a map of a way of thinking and acting that stands in full integrity and above the morals and ethics that are sprinkled with hypocrisy and etiquette in the modern world, right? Because that was a big part of what happened with the Spanish Inquisition, etc. You know, you'd go into the palace and everyone was like, oh, the palace, you have to speak quite, precisely. And there's like, hypocrisy came the big thing that everyone was aspiring to, right? And etiquette. And even till today, it's more important to be in correct etiquette than to be in correct morals. You will lose your right if you don't present it in the correct etiquette way. But no judgment there. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to say, so here comes the Spaniards in the Sacred Valley, 1534, I want to say, más o menos. And the Inca shamans, the Pacos, see them and they rattled and like, this is not good news. They will wipe us out, and they will wipe out what they're most afraid of. Our awesome system and our awesome map and understanding life and how it should live. They're after it because they want to create a hypocritical environment where everyone pays taxes not only by money, but by soul, by heart, and everyone is under. So a whole group of these Pacos, of these Inca shamans, priests, priestesses, medicine men and medicine women, because they're not a religion. They study life. They study the movement of the stars, the movement of the sun and the moon, our planet. They study the nature of our planet. So they leave from the Sacred Valley and they go up to 16 to 18,000 feet. And they lived there till the 1970s and still live there, many of them, in the exact same way humanity has lived for centuries, in these stone huts with barely a roof on top, and of course no running water, of course no toilets, of course no electricity, none of that. Only 8 months ago, the road arrived up at the first village. And half of the village is happy. I don't know that I am. I know and I respected the fact that every time we talk with Don Francisco or Sebastian or Juana, they had to walk for like 2.5 days. But regardless, they've taken this wisdom, and they've taken this indigenous wisdom, this knowledge of what it means to be human, how life should be lived, and how life is navigated. And they remained there until the 1970s, and they came down 1960s. The first started coming down 1960s, late 60s. And here I am now. I'm coming down from the west. I went across from Greece to the States. I went down through Mexico. I finally made my way to Peru. And I'm sitting there, and I'm the lost man of the future, quote unquote, the result of the Spanish Inquisition, the result of the cultural result of the Dark Ages. And I am there, and he is telling me, finally he comes out down from the mountain, like Moses in some ways, and he says, I'll teach you the way. I'll show you the how. And more importantly, let's redo this and get you in the correct perception of who you need to respect the most, who your teachers are, and what your essence is. You need to respect the most the women of this planet. Every girl, every woman, every grandmother, my mother, my sister, my wife, my aunts, my great-grandmother. We need to learn from the animals to look and show us, how does a jaguar move? How does a serpent move? How do we think we came here clawless, wingless, furless? If we don't build a house around us, we will not survive. If we don't fortify ourselves, we will not survive. How do we think we know more? And why not sit back for a moment or a year or a decade and watch these other mammals, these other beings that we share the world with, this planet with. This is not our planet. See, I have to say this. In the Dark Ages, someone came along and said, God's favorite creation is a human being. This was not, I haven't seen it written anywhere. It came along in the Dark Ages. God's favorite creation is a human being. And I tell you, if I was God, I would have put the jaguars, the monkeys, the birds, the dolphin. It's like, I would love all my children. I wouldn't have a favorite. Plus, if it was my favorite, I would give him something extra. Like, could I just at least fly, please, or something? What we do is walk, and we get tired after a while, too. So the idea is that this lack of reality, we need to know who we respect, and that's women and the feminine, and understand what the feminine is to the core, from the women that are next to us, besides us, around us, all the way to Mother Earth and Mother Moon. What does the feminine energy mean? And how can we go into deep respect? Because that's creating a brain map. The way our brain works is not just, oh, I have these 5 ideas and I'm just going to say these 5 things. It's a huge map, and it's a motherboard, literally, that works together. And if I have the idea that I'm just living on a planet, I'm already off reality. If we think that this is just a planet, then I'm already not in reality. If I'm missing out the fact that, because everything is under that, what do you call it, that kind of software. But the software that says Mother Earth is a living being, and she breathes and she inhales and exhales, she sleeps and she wakes up, and she gives us everything, and we start understanding how that works, we start understanding what this is. And when we start respecting, we create different ways of being. When you look at the Keros, they come, husband and wife, they always, the shamans, the medicine man, the medicine woman, together, always. She weaves these amazing, beautiful weavings. I'm looking to see if I have something now, not. They always work together. They didn't need a feminist revolution up in the Andes. That was all our doing. That was all the Dark Ages doing, to put women and to suppress them, because they're so awesome, because they're so genius, because they're so smart, so capable, because they were simply, for some puny men, they felt like they were danger. But again, if we are to create a brain that is correct and it runs the software, we need to know who to respect, what that means, how can I actually be in reverence, what's that point where I can stand, where do I stand, who to learn from. And these are all the animals, because all the animals have amazing things to teach us. And if you watch them, none of them have done what we've done. 99.99% of the animals constantly repair what they're doing. By living alone, they're a part of renewing life on the planet. From the mosquitoes, which give themselves to frogs and birds and fish as the lower part of the food chain, all the way to the jaguars and the big lions and the predators, the top of the food chain. Without them, our planet will not have the balance it has right now. I don't know if you've heard the story about Yellowstone Park. They introduced 40 wolves back to Yellowstone Park after 40 years, 50 years of no wolves, because, of course, they're afraid of them. When they introduced the wolves back to Yellowstone Park, along back with them came flowers, insects, butterflies, fish, frogs, birds that all had disappeared because the wolf had disappeared. The big predators are one of the most important part in the chain of life. And back to the point I'm making is, if we can't learn from them, there's nothing to learn. We've come here and we're making our own technology, and we're making things up out of this planet for our own comfort, which is great. I love technology. Ask any of my friends and my students. I love cars and motorcycles. I love cameras. I love technology. But the essence is like, yes to all, but yes to everything. Let's include what can we learn from the animals. Because when I start doing that, I'm tapping into sharpening my way of being in relationship with nature in a whole other level. And that brings me back into a sharpened relationship to my own nature. Because as of the Dark Ages and on, and then especially with the Industrial Revolution and then the Technological Revolution, what happened is we were really cut off from nature itself. And that's what I see when I work with people and someone says I'm hurting because I lost someone or because I divorced. What I'm seeing is and I know it because I was exactly there. My internal suffering led me to cancer. What I see is that loneliness and that disconnect from the earth itself, the other animals, and from the third part that we need to reconnect, and the medicine wheel contains, and the Incas and the Keros teach magic. We were put to the pyre for 300-400 years. You mentioned the word magic and everyone was like, so it's either woo-woo, new agey stuff, When it comes to become a little bit maybe real, people get scared and they become all like, what's the word? We're like, we become scared because we've been put to the pyre. It's like, you have anything to do with magic, you're burnt. Century upon century. Millions, or let me just say hundreds of thousands, especially women, because you guys have the magic. You give birth to life itself. You're connected to Mother Earth and to Grandmother Moon in a whole different way. And here we have this creation of a culture by men that lacks the essence, the heart, the nourishment, and the overall. So, and going back to the magic, I want to say, I didn't know this, that everything is magic. And I wasn't supposed to be alive, and I am. And I owe my life both to the Serpent from the National Institute of Health and to the shamans. It was a shaman that sent me to get surgery. And one of the things that happened to me, I was studying Chinese medicine at the time. I was kind of like, I feel approaching the end of my career with photography. I was in it for 22 years, and it was like really a tough profession, really tough. Very antagonistic, very, all that. So I was back to school. I was doing yoga. I was learning Chinese medicine. And in Chinese medicine, my teacher was like, no Western medicine. The pharmaceuticals are the big thieves of the planet, and the hospitals just sell surgeries. So I had created this thing against Western medicine. Now, I don't disagree with what he said about the pharmaceuticals and the hospitals and the insurance agent companies. I think all that needs to be revised. I'm not here to make any political statement, though. And I think that everyone is doing the best they can. But what I'm really referring to is that the fact that for me, I didn't have the direct connection to magic itself. Or in the moment, because I had, let me complete the sentence thought, I had a separation that things were either spiritual or they were mundane and material. So we're either talking about Western medicine, which was, out of this window and unacceptable for what it is and what it sells. Or we, on the other hand, we have spirituality and doing fire ceremonies and whatever rattling and incense that we would light and do. And that's the world I was living in. And I realized, especially after a shaman sent me to surgery, I realized that wall was a part of that persecution that happened in the Middle Ages. Like, I was beginning to become spiritual, and then so I started pulling myself away from the materialistic. The difference between material and spiritual, the naming it different, is only human, and it's always, especially Western. One thing that really opened my eyes was that I believe in technology. I love and enjoy technology. I think it's awesome that we've created it and we're creating more. I think it's awesome today that I'm talking to you guys and we're like in different parts of the world. I think that's fantastic. But especially traveling through my life, I raised my son through Zoom. I would read him bedtime stories every day for 12 years. Every day, bedtime stories through, it was Skype back then, was another thing. But there's no separation. And there's a beautiful sentence in the Yoga Sutras where Patanjali says, both the material and the spiritual are for the soul. So it's time to let go of these separations. The separation was implanted in the Dark Ages. You own you can relish and you can thrive in the respect for the feminine, and you can awaken inside you reverence that is still untapped if you go for it all the way and understanding the feminine and the beauty and how we can bow to it. You are wild and powerful and have ways to deal with all sorts of stuff if you start studying the animals. It's like, how do I move with this? Like, I'm going into a meeting, I'm going to go with my Jaguar. How am I going to find out what we're going to do later? I'm going to rise up to Condor. And more than anything, you live a life that can be a blessing and a miracle and magic every moment of it when you open your heart and you open your mind to realizing that the earth moving around the sun moving at 70,000 miles per hour and across the universe, us being alive, it's all a miracle. and every breath we take is a miracle. And the miracles don't end how we could heal or how we drive ourselves sick. That is the opposite side of the coin. We drive ourselves sick, we know it. Even Western medicine doctors will say it's like a lot of these illnesses are stress related. Yeah, so what's the opposite of stress? How about reverence, bliss, awe? What can we do to our bodies, our internal organs, to our veins, our nervous system, our vital organs, if we're in the opposite of stress? Beyond opposite, not just relaxed in our everyday life, but how about if we live and practice in reverence? How about we explore life in awe? It's just like, why shouldn't it be in awe? Like, get up in the morning and be like, wow. Having survived and surpassed those 3 months that was given to live, 90 days that was given to live in 2003, by many days, by all these years, I still till today wake up and I am so damn grateful. So damn grateful. And I don't know what I did the 40 years before that. I would get up and I would be like, I have so much work to do. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I have a deadline, don't talk to me. My relationships would not be the first because I had deadlines and big budgets to work with. So the idea of what the Incas bring us, the Pacos, and the idea of what I share through the medicine wheel are these tools and a way of understanding life. And it's nothing short of magic, and it's nothing short of full of sweetness and power. And I'll close and I'll open it to a couple questions if there are any. By saying that at some point in my 5th, 6th year of going to Peru, which I've gone to every year from 2 to 3 times every year since, I've spent more than 20 plus months in those 15 years, close to 2 years by my visiting and practicing and being an apprentice of these amazing men and women. I went down there, it was again the 4th, 5th, 6th year, and I said, I want to find out what's that highest frequency of healing energy these people work with. And I thought I was going to come out with something wild, especially with Castaneda's stories running in my brain. And I did. I came out with something wild, and this is what I teach, and this is where I live. The highest healing frequency that exists that we can all use is the frequency of affection. Affection, affection, affection. Anyone like affection? Let me see hands. Do you feel like, let me see 2 hands if you like receiving affection. And it is the same thing giving it. It's just if you're running it through you, it's a miracle. What happens to the cells, what happens to the mitochondria, what happens to the immune system, to the digestive system, where the electricity moves in the brain, how it comes to the prefrontal cortex. It's an amazing miracle. So, Serpent as a focus allows us and helps us to change. And it does tell us that we need to let go of something. The old skin, we got to let go of. And that's one of the hardest parts of evolving, because we all want to hold up to everything we have and then become new, but still hold everything we have. Ever thought that, felt that, anyone? I know. Me, I was the first one of all. It's the 3 of us. I know who we are. So when we do shed our skin, though, and we do make some sacrifices, we quickly realize that they were not sacrifices, that they were part of the path. And when we do and we let go of the past, then we create new space in our head to download new information. And a new way of being. So again, shamanic path is, it's not a religion. It's a way of understanding life and being in relationship with the planet and with the rest of the creatures that we share it with, because it's certainly not our planet alone. And it certainly wasn't ours to begin with to ruin it for everyone else. So any questions? Hands. Yeah, Nikki, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, you were talking about snakes and how people fear snakes. And I just wanted to comment that not all snakes are poisonous. I think that was the meaning that you said. People are afraid because they're poisonous. But, and I know this from studying snakes since I moved here 4 years ago. The house is very open and things
Where are
come
you?
in. I'm in West Virginia in the mountains, in a
Oh, cool.
remote area on hundreds of acres. But since I've been here, I've had 2 black snakes and a corn snake right next to my bed. And just a couple months ago, I had a whole pile of little tiny some kind of striped snakes, but none of them were poisonous. And so, I've had to deal with them and catch them and take them back outside because I like to let things go. But anyway, yes.
Totally. Thank you for saying it.
So we can use this method of the serpent to shed that old fear of snakes. And I'm not saying go up to a copperhead or a rattlesnake and just say,
Exactly.
"Hey, baby," but let it go.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nikki, for saying that. Thank you. And I'm just answering to that or bringing it up because several people had come up that were felt comfortable enough to say, you know what, I just don't feel afraid or this or that. So I like to bring it up to make sure that I address. So thank you for reinforcing it because not all snakes are poisonous. And actually, there's a Greek amazing writer, Kazantzakis, the one who wrote The First Temptation of Christ, Zorba's the Greek, and the 14 amazing books that are published in 120 countries. He said, man will kill a snake if it's poisonous or not. That's his kind of justice. So it's like it speaks to another, that kind of justice that we can't deal with nature itself, and we kind of like fall into these stereotyping things. But anyway, no fear of serpents. They're really sweet, and not all of them are poisonous. Any other questions on material, on the shamanic work, or anything that we've talked about? Rita, please. Nope, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay. I had put in the chat regarding the map you were talking about with the medicine wheel. Is that basically feminine energy or is the map itself some kind of energy? Is it the feminine or the masculine? And is there even energy? I mean, there is energy, of course, in the map, I imagine, but does it come directly from feminine energy?
It is the Inca work and the Keros work, that what we teach in the JaguarPath and this as a course. First of all, reveres the feminine, but the map itself is yin and yang. It's feminine and masculine because it's exactly where life begins to move. It's like between the sun and the earth.
So it's a balance.
Yeah, the balance. And the idea of the feminine is that, though, it's just like when we look at the sun, it's like how much the sun always loves the earth, how he holds her and warms her and gives her nourishment constantly, and all his attention is on her. And that's the first. It's like, so if you're going to be in the masculine, and again, men or women, you can be in a moment that is masculine, man or woman, and especially, I'm going to say, for men, it's important for us to begin to be sensitive to that and to understand that a way of being, it's maybe that be with my mother, my sister, my wife, is a place of reverence. The sun reveres the earth and is always paying his full attention to her. So even in that level, just like in behavior in a room, in a space, you are fully attentive. It's one of the things we learn. And I see it and I know it from my teachers. It's like she comes in, Juana comes in, and everything else stops. Don Francisco is like, yes, my goddess. Yes, my queen. Yes, my life itself.
Thank
The
you.
map, though, nice question. The map is feminine and masculine, is yin and yang, and it goes beyond that double. And you will see it. It really. What they really understood was the trilogy of things, the power of the three, that we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You will see those threes and all around the 3 steps of the Chakana. Each one of them symbolize something, and that's the power. It's the yin and yang in the middle that connects all these so they can actually move. It's almost like the yin and yang and life itself in the middle. Thank you, Rita. Anyone else? Any other questions? See how we're doing with time. We're doing good with time, but I'll bring it to a closing when I've taken all the questions. Sheila, it's so good to see you.
Hi, Ray. Good to see
Hey,
you
hey.
too. Hey. So you talk about, we talk about the yin and the yang, which is the Chinese version of masculine and feminine. Do the Keros have a word for masculine or feminine, for masculine and feminine?
They do, and the essence of that, the essence is in the moon and in the sun. The sun and the moon. And if you go to Chinese, the yin and yang, it's exactly the same thing too, where they really see it and they say, well, this is the beginning of masculine and feminine, that this is how everything works. There's a masculine part of it and a feminine part of it. They saw that in the sun and in the earth. And the same with, or the sun and the moon, which the moon is also feminine. When you go to yoga, the yoga world, you'll see it again. Hatha means sun and moon, right? Hatha yoga, which is the biggest branch of all of yoga, basically, is sun and moon. I'm, at this moment, because I'm traveling, I'm trying to remember the names, and I do not. So remind me in the medicine wheel, or I'll bring it up. Anyone else from the Jaguar? Anyone else from the JaguarPath from the training? Yanante Masinti. Yananti Masinti. Yananti is masculine. Masinti is feminine. This is Quechua. Yananti Masinti. And I'm going to double check on that. My Quechua is a little rusty. I haven't spoke to my teachers in a couple of weeks. Thank you for asking, and again, there's just so much there, and just to drop that sentence, with that lack of balance that we had in the Western world with the roles of men and women, the whole mentality, the whole way of thinking, of approaching anything was skewed / is skewed. And again, I've said this, Nina and I, we teach this class called a workshop, Shiva Shakti, and we usually do it once a year. We did a few months ago with our beloved friends Deva and Miten. The whole idea of that masculine and feminine is I feel really, really off. It's still even in the feminist revolution, we all went with the idea that men and women are the same. There was just this necessity for some of the women to prove that they can do men's jobs, drive the truck, be a lawyer, be a CEO. And I'm absolutely happy to see women do all that. And of course they're able. But I would love to see all that feminine energy, because we're not the same. We're equal. We're absolutely equal. And maybe women are a little higher above. But we're not the same. We're so different. And would everyone wave your left hand if you feel, even if you're with your husband and wife and you love them absolutely like I do, you know that we're different. And especially if you're in a close relationship, you see the differences. And here's where I'd like to honor the differences. I actually enjoy the differences. Thank God we're different. It gives the polarity, it gives so much more. So Shiva Shakti coming up, I think we have it February 12th this year, just a couple days before. It's not up on the website yet, it will be. We're doing things in a very relaxed fashion this year, Costa Rica style. Nikki!
Okay, this is a horrible question, but Irvin Laszlo deals with the issue of extinction and the probability of whether the whole world can come into balance quick enough to save everything, the earth and the animals and bugs and people. And somebody else brought up in the Wisdom Keepers thing about 90% of the world's, or maybe it was 60% of the world's people are probably not going to get on board. So I just wondered what your opinion is about, how fast can we do this thing and make everybody, come around to the indigenous way and come down to earth. I've spent probably 50 years myself just trying to get back, and stop wearing heels and makeup and, change my habits. And it isn't easy.
No, it's not. Nikki, I don't know. I can't give. I feel that life is a really big thing, um, my sister Eileen Crist is also a scientist and is in this environmental scientist and was one of the first people that were coined the word the greenhouse effect with Margulis in 1980. And they're in there like ringing the bells since. It's like, well, this is happening, and everyone's like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe we'll make more. Let's make more money, so let's make more fumes and everything. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's exactly like you said. What is happening is that we need to learn the ways to return back to a mentality that brings us back to our power and our relationship. There are many things that we need to move matter from garbage to this in the seas and pollution in the air. But life is magic. And a lot of the change happens when mentality changes. A lot of the things that happen are in the unified field. And if we can change the way we think, things will change. Things will change. We are definitely, it's just like, I feel like, yeah, we're definitely looking at the end of the planet. No, we're looking at the end of humanity, not the planet. Right? Because another 2 minutes later, or 2,000 years later, she's going to be absolutely fine. And there's a place that life is stored that will be regenerated again. So the problem is not the planets, it's our problem. And by all means, it's really important for us to understand that we have created this. And but also to say this, let's just change our mentality and be on the positive. I feel like, it's like everyone's changing right now. So that's a good thing. And watching here, I was talking to a friend of mine, Lama Chuldrim Alione, who is a Buddhist Lama. And she was saying that there's schools of shamanism now in Italy that are entering this Russian shamanism that is now on board in universities there. While the JaguarPath is on board the universities in the United States, we'll bring it in beginning, yes, thank you, on a master's degree program or 9-month training with Ubiquity University, and more universities are getting on that wagon, which means we're basically undoing what happened in the Spanish Inquisition, where they said, this is the norm, these are the universities, these are the ways, these are the paths, and everything else is going to be persecuted. We're undoing that. We're bringing back the way of connecting and being real in the universities, and it's going to be a part of what always needed to be. And eventually it's going to be a part of kindergarten. I hope we're going to trickle our way all the way down, because there's not one fire ceremony that I've done, and I've done hundreds and hundreds, where the ones that participate the most and the most awesome ones are the kids. You know, fire ceremony, and they're all like, yay, and they go in. And of course, everyone's a kid. Kids of all of all ages. So I have a positive view of it, Nikki. I feel that it is awakening us to awaken ourselves. Each person is from here on. And it is that time we understand it's like, oh, why aren't they doing something? And I think maybe now we're all more and more awakening that there is no they, that there's only us. And like we are all a part of the solution or the problem. So let's just do everything we can for the solution. And the solution, again, and I'm not talking about one thing and that one thing that's in a huge debate and is separating us. I'm talking about the solution being coming back and loving the planet, coming back and respecting the animals, coming back and bringing the feminine on top, so we could really get a balance that actually works, and that can bring us not only to avoid the ending, but actually can bring us to thriving once again. And if we feel it, we can make it happen. If we feel it and start thinking that way, it will happen, because we really influence the planet in the unified field. Everyone's head and everyone's magnetic field is informing everyone else. We're not, this oneness that everyone talks about is true and real. So thank you, Nikki. Sheila, do you have another question, or is that your hand up from previously? Oh, I just didn't know. Okay, no worries. All right, I'm going to take one more question before I close this evening. Anyone that has something you want to ask? Any questions? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. March 1st, we start the medicine wheel. We meet once. Do we have a link we could put in the draw in the I see Amanda Dixie is our manager and is a person that anytime you write an email to JaguarPath, that's who's answering it right there. Amanda. So bring in, if you want the link for that, check it out. If you have any other questions, send us any questions you want at the JaguarPath. Evolve at JaguarPath.com. I hope that even today was useful, that you've felt healing, that you felt empowered. I feel, and I hope rather, that it is a gift to you. It comes directly from my heart. I believe in this way, not as a belief system, but as a clear understanding that I know it's brought me into in the driver's seat. I through all this, having the map, having the knowledge, having the tools, and having my health and having my life, through this, I live a very, very different life. And my life is different because I'm tapping into the magic, and I'm tapping into the earth, and I'm tapping into the animals. I am grateful for every day that I wake up, and I share this with true affection and spontaneity. And I always try to bring humor in. I think our hearts should be open. That's the best place to learn, with our hearts open, not too serious, not too at all ever dogmatic. And I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you guys again. Thank you all so much. May the serpent energy of shifting and changing and evolving be with us. The jaguar, no fear in this world or the next. May the hummingbird's sweetness be with us. May the condor's ability to rise and see the greater picture be with us. Grateful to Mother Earth that held us today. Grateful to Father Sun and Grandmother Moon. Horpichai, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you.